Treasure Island, Chapter 11, What I Heard in the Apple Barrel. The last time we saw Jim Hawkins, he had climbed into an apple barrel and to get himself an apple, and he was surprised to find that Long John Silver had set himself down alongside the apple barrel, and Jim was trapped in the apple barrel and did not dare to get out. "No, not I," said Silver. "Flint was captain. I was quartermaster, along of my timber leg." Quartermaster means he took care of the supplies on the ship. "The same broadside I lost my leg, old Pew lost his deadlights." A broadside was when they fired cannons, all the cannons from one ship at another. That was called a broadside. They'd fire them all at once. Long John Silver lost his leg, and Pew, whom we remember, the blind man, lost his eyes in that same battle. "It was a master surgeon, him that amputated me. Out of college and all, Latin by the bucket, and whatnot. But he was hanged like a dog and sun-dried like the rest at Corso Castle." That is to say, the surgeon was also a pirate, and when they captured that ship, they hanged all the men they captured. "That was Robert's men, that was, and comed of changing names to their ships, Royal Fortune and so on. Now, what a ship was christened, that is named, so let her stay, I says. So it was with the Cassandra, as brought us all safe home from Malabar, after England took the Viceroy of the Indies. So it was with the old Walrus, Flint's old ship, as I've seen a muck with the red blood and fit to sink with gold." That is to say, Flint, who was another pirate, had captured so many ships that the hold of his ship was stuffed with gold, and since gold is so heavy, the ship could have sank. At least, it's an exaggeration. "Ah," cried another voice, that of the youngest hand on board, and evidently full of admiration. "For he was the flower of the flock, was Flint." "Davis was a man too, by all accounts," said Silver. "I never sailed along of him. First with England, another pirate, then with Flint, another pirate. That's my story, and now here on my own account, in a manner of speaking. I laid by 900 safe from England, and 2,000 after Flint. That is to say, when he was sailing with England, the pirate, Captain England, he was able to put away 900 pounds. Long John Silver was kind of a smart man. He put away his money so that he would have it in his old age. And then he laid away another 2,000 pounds after Flint. Now, a pound was the coin in England, and it was worth quite a lot. 100 or 200 pounds was enough to live on for a year in those days. That ain't bad for a man before the mast. All safe in a bank. A man before the mast means a common sailor, not one of the officers. So his share of the money would be significantly less. "'Tain't earning now, it's saving, does it? You may lay to that. Where's all England's men now, Captain England? I dunno. Where's Flint's? Why, most of 'em aboard here, those that are left, and glad to get the duff. Been begging before that, some 'em. Old Pew, as had lost his sight, and might have thought shame. Spends £1,200 in a year, like a lord in Parliament. Where is he now? Well, he's dead now, and under hatches. But for 2 years before that, shiver me timbers, the man was starving. He begged, and he stole, and he cut throats, and starved at that by the powers. Well, it ain't much use after all, said the young seaman. That is to say, he's saying, well, the money isn't that worth that much. 'Tain't much use for fools, you may lay to it, that, nor nothing, cried Silver. But now, you look here, you're young, you are, but you're as smart as paint. I see that when I set my eyes on you, and I'll talk to you like a man. You may imagine how I felt, Jim Hawkins, when I heard this abominable old rogue, that is, old Long John Silver, addressing another in the very same words of flattery as he had used to myself. He was trying to make me feel good about myself, so he told me I was smart as paint. But I can see it was all flattery. I think if I'd been able, that I would have killed him through the barrel. Don't forget Jim's inside the barrel, hiding in the barrel. Meantime, he ran on, little supposing he was overheard. That is, Long John Silver kept on talking. Here it is about gentlemen of fortune. They lives rough, and they risk swinging. That is to say, they risk being hanged. But they eat and drink like fighting cocks. That is to say, they get the best of everything. And when a cruise is done, a sea voyage, while they're out pirating, why, it's hundreds of pounds instead of hundreds of farthings in their pockets. It's like saying they have thousands of dollars in their pockets instead of a couple of hundred dimes or a few hundred shekels. They have thousands and thousands of shekels. Now, the most goes for rum and a good fling, a party. And then to sea again in their shirts. Nothing's left, just their shirts. But that's not the course I lay. I puts it all away. Some here, some there, and none too much anywheres by reason of suspicion. Long John is saying that when he gets money, he doesn't blow it on parties, rum, and whatever. He puts the money in the bank, but he doesn't put it all in one bank because no one would understand how he got so much money all at one time. So he puts a little bit here and a little bit there, so no one is suspicious of him. I'm 50, mark you. Once back from this cruise, I set up gentleman in earnest. After he's gotten enough money from this cruise, he'll be able to set himself up as a gentleman and not have to go to sea anymore and not have to steal or anything. He'll have enough money. Time enough, too, says you. Ah, but I've lived easy in the meantime, never denied myself enough in heart desires, and slept soft and ain't dainty all my days, except when at sea. But how did I begin? Before the mast, like you, as a common seaman. Well, said the other, but all the other money's gone now, ain't it? You daren't show face in Bristol after this. Why, where might you suppose it was? Asked Silver derisively. That is to say, Silver is saying, what are you talking about? At Bristol and Banks and places, answered his companion. It were, said the cook. It were when we weighed anchor, when we left Bristol. But my old missus, that's his wife, has it all by now, and the spyglass is sold, lease, and goodwill and rigging. The spyglass, the tavern that he ran, has been sold, and the old girl's off to meet me. I would tell you where, for I trust you, but it'd make jealousy among the mates. And can you trust your missus? Asked the other. Gentlemen of fortune, returned the cook, usually trust little among themselves, and right they are, you may lay to it. But I have a way with me, I have. When a mate brings a slip on his cable, one as knows me. I mean, it won't be in the same world with old John. There was some that was feared of Pew, and some that was feared of Flint. But Flint, his own self, was feared of me. Feared he was, and proud. They was the roughest crew afloat, was Flint's. The devil himself would have been feared to go to sea with them. Well, now, I tell you, I'm not a boasting man, and you've seen yourself how easy I keep company. But when I was quartermaster for Flint, lambs wasn't the word for Flint's old buccaneers. They were not sheep, they were not lambs, they were not quiet and docile and nice little bunny rabbits. Ah, you may be sure of yourself in old John's ship. Because what he's saying is, Long John Silver, was tougher and meaner and smarter than anybody else, and even Captain Flint was afraid of Long John Silver. Well, I tell you now, replied the lad, I didn't half a quarter like the job till I had this talk with you, John, but here's my hand on it now. And he sticks his hand out to shake hands with Long John Silver, meaning that he's agreed to come and join Long John Silver and his mates in what we're going to find out. And a brave lad you were, and smart too, answered Silver, shaking hands so heartily that all the barrel shook, and a finer figurehead for a gentleman of fortune I never clapped my eyes on, he says to this young lad. By this time, I had begun to understand the meaning of their terms. What were they talking about? By a gentleman of fortune, they plainly meant neither more nor less than a common pirate. A gentleman of fortune, meaning he's not a gentleman, but he does trust in fortune, in luck. And the little scene that I had overheard was the last act in the corruption of one of the honest hands, perhaps of the last one left aboard. But on this point I was soon to be relieved, for Silver, giving a little whistle, a third man strolled up and sat down by the party. Dick's square, said Silver. Oh, I know Dick was square, returned the voice of the coxswain, Israel Hands. His name is Israel Hands. And the coxswain is the man who steers the boat, steers the ship. He's the one who's at the wheel of the ship day and night. Well, perhaps not 24 hours a day, but much of the time. And he's the expert in steering. He's no fool, is Dick. And he turned his quid, his wad of tobacco, and spat. But look here, he went on, here's what I want to know, Barbecue. How long are we going to stand off and on like a blessed bumboat? I've had almost enough of Captain Smollett He's hazed me long enough, by thunder. I want to go into that cabin, I do. I want their pickles and wines and that. Israel, said Silver, your head ain't much account, nor ever was, but you're able to hear, I reckon. Leastwise, your ears is big enough. Now, here's what I say. You'll birth forward and you'll live hard, and you'll speak soft, and you'll keep sober, till I give the word, and you may lay to that, my son. Well, I don't say no, do I? Growled the coxswain. What I say is, when? That's what I say, when? When? By the powers, cried Silver. Well now, if you want to know, I'll tell you when. The last moment I can manage, and that's when. Here's a first-rate seaman, Captain Smollett, sails this blessed ship for us. Here's this squire and doctor with a map and such. I don't know where it is, do I? No more do you, says you. Well then, that is to say, we don't know where the treasure is. We know pretty much where the island is, but we don't know where the treasure is. Well then, I mean, this squire and doctor shall find the stuff and help us to get it aboard, by the powers. Why should we do all the work? Then we'll see. If I was sure of all of you sons of double Dutchmen, I'd have Captain Smollett navigate us halfway back again before I struck. Because Captain Smollett knew not only how to steer the ship, but he knew where to sail the ship, and that's called navigation. That's how you find out where you're going in the middle of the ocean, where one wave looks every bit as much like another wave, and the sea is immense, and you have no signs, roads, or any way of guiding yourself except by the stars in the heaven and the sun. Why, we're all seamen aboard here, I should think, said the lad Dick. We're all forecastle hands, you mean? He says, we're all common sailors. None of us know how to navigate, snapped Silver. We can steer a course, but who's to set one? That is to say, if you point us in the right direction, we can keep going in that direction, but we don't know how to figure out what direction to go. That's what all you gentlemen split on, first and last. If I had my way, I'd have Captain Smollett work us back into the trades at least. The trade winds were the winds that blew from the west to the east. I'm presuming that we're heading towards the Caribbean. So from England, we're going south and east across the Atlantic Ocean. Now there's a wind north of the equator that blows from east to west, and that helps to get you across the ocean. On the way back, there's another wind, these are called the trade winds, that blows you from west to east, and that helps you get back to Europe. So that's what he's talking about. He wants Captain Smollett to get them back into the trade winds so that the wind would then take them back across the Atlantic Ocean towards England. Then we'd have no blessed miscalculations in a spoonful of water a day, meaning if they don't know where they are and they get lost on the ocean and they run out of water, all they'll have is a little bit of water to drink every day and very little food, because even though it's a big ocean and it's full of water, you can't drink seawater. It's too salty. But I know the sort you are. I'll finish with them at the island as soon as the Blunt's on board, and a pity it is. But you're never happy till you're drunk. Split my sides, I've a sick heart to sail with the likes of you. Easy all, Long John, cried Israel the coxswain. Who's a crossing of you? Why, how many tall ships, think ye now, have I seen laid aboard, and how many brisk lads dryin' in the sun at Execution Dock, cried Silver. I have to tell you, when they hanged a man, the pirates, in those days, they hanged him and they left him hanging as a warning to everybody else not to do it. So they would, in the sun, their hanged bodies would dry out.